And call this meeting to order of the Torrington City Council. This is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Good evening and welcome to all. We have here, as usual, Mr. Ryan Caith from KGOS, KERM Radio. This council meeting is being broadcast live on both radio stations and also on YouTube, and it's up permanently on YouTube. We also have Ms. Jess Oakes here from the Torrington Telegram. Welcome to the press. This is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. This is the first council meeting in September, 17th council meeting of the year. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Councilman Shane Victron to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as you can tell, there's something special going on here this evening, and that is the Harley Mark Remembrance. And I would call on Chief of Police Matt Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We wanted to take a few minutes this evening, as we do every year, in grateful remembrance for the service and sacrifice of Torrington Police Department Lieutenant Harley Mark, who gave his life in the line of duty for our community on September 7th of 1993. Lieutenant Mark was fatally wounded in a motor vehicle accident while he was attempting to apprehend a violent offender who had preyed upon our community. He selflessly placed the safety of others above his own, and our community will never and should never forget his sacrifice or that of his family. With us tonight, here front and center, are Lieutenant Mark's wife, Joanne, his three daughters, Tammy, Wendy, and Dawn, along with an awesome collection of son-in-laws, grandsons, and great-grandchildren. We are eternally grateful to them and glad that they were able to join us for a few minutes this evening. Throughout his life, Lieutenant Mark invested carefully in his family and in our community. Those investments ultimately grew into a legacy of service and kindness that he left behind for the rest of us to benefit from. As an agency, we seek to follow Lieutenant Mark's example by serving our community with integrity, honor, and the same focus on caring for others that Lieutenant Mark demonstrated every day of his service and career. We're grateful for the opportunity to spend a few minutes to remember and honor Lieutenant Mark. We invite our community to join us in keeping his family in our thoughts and prayers on this upcoming anniversary of his loss. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. And on behalf of the city of Torrington and this council, thank you for your sacrifice. It is remembered, so thank you, folks. Wait till the chief gets back. Thank you, Chief Johnson.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Next item on our agenda are the mayor's informational items. Under Wyoming law, the mayor and council are charged with protecting and advancing the health, safety, welfare, and morals of the residents and visitors within the city of Torrington. We oversee the provision of police and fire protection, emergency medical services, emergency dispatch services, and the provision of clean water, safe sewage systems, trash collection and disposal, and reasonable recreational opportunities. Under our constitutional system of government, this authority and these duties of mayor and council are known as the police powers that are assigned to state and local governments. Safety is always a huge concern and a priority of the mayor and council and of all city departments. No one can be made perfectly safe, but we do our best to promote safety and, if we have to, enforce safety when necessary. We all cherish limited government. Limited government is a gift bequeathed to us by God and all American generations before us. Our system of limited government relies on the proposition and fact that the huge majority of citizens are self-governing. What I mean by that is that the large majority of us voluntarily obey the law and the social norms of living together as a community. Torrington streets are not nearly as safe as they should be. In this regard, I highly recommend you read the Torrington Telegram editorial by Telegram editor Jess Oakes, published in the Wednesday, August 27th, 2025 edition, entitled "Wake Up Torrington, Pay Attention Behind the Wheel." We want our city streets to be as safe as possible. I appeal to all of you. Please slow down. Please do not use your cell phones while driving. Please always yield to pedestrians and school buses when children are loading and unloading. Please keep constant lookout for pedestrians, motorcycles, bicycles, and the new ever-present electric bikes, electric skateboards, and electric scooters. Parents, if you allow your children to have the new electric vehicles, please instruct them in using them legally and safely. As we move forward into the fall season, please be aware that Mayor and Council will be looking into modernizing our ordinances to keep up with the challenge presented to us by this increased use of electrical vehicles, especially by children. In the coming weeks, we will be looking for public input on how to best address these safety issues. Mayor and Council will be looking for public input and public support as we address these safety issues. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the August 19th, 25 council meeting as published.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Victrin to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Deal, seconded. All right, any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the consent agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda itself.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victrin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All of those in favor of approval of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the agenda is approved. The next item on our agenda is what we call the public forum. We don't have any takers this evening, but I'd like to explain this item on our agenda. This is for non-agenda items. There is a time limit of 2 minutes, and the speaker must sign up before the meeting. There are forms here, and if one wants to take advantage of this privilege, you can find a form and put it in that black box in front of Councilman Warren. But this is a time for the council to listen. No action will be taken. All right, that takes us into the action items. The first action item on the agenda this evening is request to award a bid, one new one-ton extended cab work truck with utility box. Staff recommends awarding the bid to Transwest Ford of Scottsbluff, Nebraska in the amount of $77,636.80. And staff reference this evening for this item is Tom Troxel, Water Wastewater Supervisor. And I see Tom back there. Do you want to come up, Tom? Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
As the mayor stated, we'd recommend to go with this pickup with Transwest. It's on the lot and it's ready to go to work. Of the three lowest bids, this truck met the 90-day requirement to be ready to go within 90 days of award. Myself and Chris Powell went down and met with Brian Collar and Nate Kindle and looked the truck over, and the truck meets most all of the requirements. It's a little different than our current work trucks because it's not a box delete. It was a chassis, and the utility box is just a little bit bigger than all the rest of our utility boxes, by about a foot. I'm thinking it's about a foot longer. All the other specifications were pretty much met. The box is very similar to the one that we specified. There was one thing on the box that it didn't have was the power locks, but we had those put on our other boxes because we used to park our trucks outside. Now that we have a facility to park our trucks in, I was talking to the operators, and they don't think it's really that necessary now that we have that, because we have a place to put the trucks and lock them up, and they're not just parked out outside of our office there. I'd entertain any questions.
Councilman Victor?
Tom, Mr. Troxel, in Wyoming, we're supposed to award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder, but you now say that this vendor is the only one out of those that were requested a bid from. They're the only ones that could comply with the bid request of a 90-day delivery?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess what follow-up, Tom, would be, since it's slightly over the budgeted amount, do you believe there's enough in your budget to cover the overage?
I do. In that particular line item is two other things, is the air compressor, and I think we can get that considerably less than what we budgeted. At least that's the hopes. And the backhoe, that's going to be close to what we budgeted. So if that don't cover it, then I can work with Lynette, and we have a couple of pickups that we could put on the auction block to make up that difference.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, I'm just going to ask, I'm not disputing what you're saying, so don't think I am, okay? Jim, can council award the bid that's requested by Tom?
You can, that was a bid, you can, because that was a bid specification. So compliance of 90-day turnaround would be a requirement under the bid specs. That's what they're relying on.
But isn't there a 5% preference somewhere online for in-state?
Not if they don't comply with the bid specs.
Tom, just curious, how far out were the others on potential delivery?
6 months.
But I don't recall the 90-day stipulation in the previous bids. Is that something you just put in?
Yes. And we did that because of what we dealt with since 2020. It's been a nightmare of even seeing if we're even going to get a vehicle. We've waited as long as 18 months to get one of those trucks, to get one of those spec vehicles, just because of COVID. It's going on 6 years. If they don't have their teams together, their what I want to say, their factory, their workers together by now, something seriously wrong. I mean, that's the whole hangup. The trucks themselves, let me find that. I do have that here somewhere. The trucks themselves are 3 to 4 months out. But the utility box is 6 months.
So in this situation, Tom, the recommended awardee would be, they have the chassis and the box, and they're gonna mount the box on the chassis. It's ready to go.
It's all together right now. It's on there. They have three of them sitting down there, 1 diesel and 2 gas. And they're ready to go. All they got to do is send them to put the radios in them and a few minor other things. They got to have the Rhino liner sprayed in the box. That was one of our specifications. Fire extinguisher and just some other piddly stuff. The only thing that they couldn't provide, they provided the wiring to the beacon, the light, but those are like $50, $60. We'd get one of those and then Brian could put that on at the shop. We'd rather choose our own anyway, because then we also put the LEDs on the side of the truck so people can see.
Now, this is not a diesel, right?
No.
Good.
No. There's really no need for one of those.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I don't recall in the time I've been on the council that we've had the ability to receive a vehicle essentially next day.
It's kind of a new phenomenon
Yeah.
to us. Maybe Dennis remembers back in the day when you
Oh,
could
yeah.
get them. For this group other than Dennis, that's a correct statement, Mr. Victor.
Well, the one you just received in March was on order for 9 months? Something like that?
Every bit of that, every bit of that.
And the one ambulance took almost 2 years, I think.
Yeah, and then we still have, I think the electrical department's still waiting on some equipment.
That's the longest we've ever had to wait, is the electrical department truck.
Yeah, I asked Chris and purchasing to throw that 90 days in there, just to see what happens. I said, because this is ridiculous, waiting on these vehicles.
Well, if none of them could provide the 90 days stipulation, it wouldn't make any difference anyway.
That last truck, I believe was, help me when the Wheatland, it came out of Wheatland. And one of the salesmen from here went there.
Jim Watson.
Jim, thank you. And Kelly kept calling him. Where's the pickup? Where's the pickup? He'll be here, it'll be here. And then, once it finally did get here, then the holdup was in Casper putting the box on. That took several weeks. Don't understand why, but. So we're just sitting there at mercy, just playing the waiting game.
Mr. Mayor, in the interest of efficiency, I would make a motion to approve the staff recommendation for the new 1-ton extended cab work truck with the utility box.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Deal on item number 1 to approve and award the bid on one new 1-ton extended cab work truck with utility box. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Item number 1, all those in favor of approving and awarding the bid set forth in item 1 for the new 1-ton extended cab work truck with utility box, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay.
Nay.
That is 4-1, approved and awarded. All right, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, we are now on item number 2, financial report, fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. And for that, I would call on Mrs. Lynette Strecker, Clerk Treasurer.
Thank you. I did have the light turned off so we could see this a little easier,
I'll turn it off.
but
That was better while Tom was up
I don't know if that helps or not. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So attached to your agenda was the report, and I'll go over it with you here tonight. We'll start out with our cash balance report for the end of the fiscal year, which was 6/30/2025. We'll start out with the restricted funds. Our restricted funds are down about $88,237, mainly due to, we took 70, or about $100,000 out of the WGIF pool reserve fund to pay for the construction of the reconstruction of the inside of the swimming pool. And we also made our first payment on the Kelly Trust property. So those are the two main reasons that those funds are gone down. They're being spent on the specific purpose. Unrestricted funds, if you want to look at those, our certificates of deposits and our investments. At Morton Asset Management, we had a pretty good return there of $150,000. And so the total increase in those funds for our investments was $161,341. Checking and savings, these are our operating accounts. We have the optional tax account, our operating checking account, and the payroll account. We significantly went down in these areas with all the projects going on. Those decreased $204,000. So if you look at all of our funds, restricted and unrestricted, the total funds went down $131,811. Our weighted average rate of return was 2.64%. Moving on to accounts receivable. The amounts past due at June 30th, 2025 was $13,752.06. The number of discontinuations for non-payment, we had 28 accounts totaling about $3,800. Amount at collections went down slightly from $74,000 to $70,000. And the amount turned over to the city attorney is the same at $4,164. Just for your information, on the equipment schedule of delivery, which we were talking about earlier, we are still waiting on the aerial truck and the electric department. It was ordered in April of '23. It is still not here, but Dana did check on it last week, and it should be here within the next couple of weeks, he's hoping. The new ambulance,
Excuse me.
Yes.
If you know, where is that coming from? That aerial truck?
I am not sure.
Okay. Only if you knew. Okay.
The new ambulance did arrive on 6/12 of this year, so that is in service. And then that 1-ton pickup that we were talking about from Laramie Peak Motors, it was delivered in March of this year. And it was ordered on 6/18/24, so it was, about 9 months. I think the biggest weight on that was the box, from what I could tell. The boxes were holding up. The truck was here, but we were waiting on the utility box, so. And then non-budgeted items approved by council to date. At the last meeting, the airport terminal was approved for $116,000. And we approved the outdoor warning siren that was struck by lightning, deductible of $10,000, for a total of $126,367. So if you go to the next page. So at the end of the year, and you remember during budget, I told you I had to estimate what cash is going to be, because the budget is due the 18th of June, but the fiscal year isn't until June 30th. So now I can figure out what my cash balance is compared to what I budgeted. So if you look at the current cash balance, which was brought forward from the previous page, of $20,152,000, you add outstanding deposits and subtract outstanding checks. That brings it to $20,066,000. We didn't have any grant receivables at this time this year. We had unpaid bills of $524,323, so we need to subtract that. And we have restricted cash because we're don't want to take that. That's not operating cash, so it's not in the budget. So the actual cash available for fiscal year 26 budget was $16,494,000. So I only budgeted $14 million of cash carryover, meaning we have some extra money of $1.7 million. So I wasn't very close this year, but it's in the right direction. So that's good news. Now let's move on to the budget. Oh, I can't see the. There we go. Okay, so 100% of the fiscal year has elapsed on June 30th, 2025. So if you look at our revenues for taxes ended up coming in at 103%, so right on target. Our sales tax and optional sales tax are really what brought up our revenue the most. Our property tax was at 103, and vehicle tax was at 112%. So our total taxes received was a little bit over $5 million. And then our total licenses and permits, clerks and licenses were at 104%, and then building permits were at 208%. So those total $85,000. Our mineral royalties came in at 103% as well. And as far as our charges for services, we look at those, we're at 96.86%, so not quite at 100%, but it's really close. Total fines and other revenues is at 127.47%. Our investment income was the big factor there at 163%. I expected the interest rates to drop a little more than they did this year, but they're staying up there a little bit. I think inflation isn't slowing down as much as they predicted. Utility revenues, these are franchises, and administrative fees was at 94.27%. So if you look at all of our operating, this is not grants or loans, it's at 102% for the year, which is really good. So the special projects and grants is the next section. So these are my general fund grants and projects. And we were pretty good here at 96.48% as far as our grant. This is our non-operating revenue goes. So if you combine the non-operating and the operating, we're at 101.9% here. So right where we need to be. Any questions on the general fund revenues?
Yes, Ms. Strecker, on the community grants, what comprises those?
The economic development grant is in there, and any other grants that maybe I didn't expect that might come in through the community. I believe, so like our rec board grants, those will go in there for the general fund. Basically, all the non-federal and more in the community type grants.
Then I just had a question, because I'm not very versed on this. On the cigarette tax, is that tax solely on cigarettes, or is it on tobacco in general?
I think it's on nicotine products.
It is. Have you seen that figure stay pretty flat, or has it risen slightly?
It's actually been decreasing,
It has.
yes. And I don't know if it's from lack of, if we're selling less and people are quitting, or,
I can see folks using less cigarettes, but it seems like nicotine products
yeah.
are on the rise.
I can check into that.
Just curious.
It's a good question. Any other questions on that one? So let's go on to general fund expenses. All of our departments did very well. So at the top here, we've got our operating expenses. So I took out all of the equipment, any projects, and we're just looking at operating. So the mayor came in at 95, judicial at 86, administrative is at 97, maintenance at 86%, Lincoln at 72, police at 95, fire department at 70, engineering at 98%, building and grounds 93, streets 95, storm drain maintenance 34%, city shop at 96, parks 89%, community projects 88%, museum at 72%, industrial park at 58%. So if you look at all of our expenditures for the general fund, we're at 92.63%, which is good. We want to be under 100% on these. We don't want to go over what we have budgeted for expenditures.
Mr. Mayor, I know that emergencies occur, but I appreciate our departments sticking so carefully to their budgets. That's good news.
They do really watch them closely, and we do post those out there for them to look at monthly, so they can see what they're spending, and so I think they do a great job of keeping track of that. The capital construction projects in the and equipment for the general fund, you can see there what we had. We finished up the facility maintenance shop. The police department had 2 SUVs, the Lincoln Complex courtroom, AV equipment. All of those are there. And the big one that I had budgeted that didn't really happen is the Kelly Trust building at the museum. But that's getting started. So I noticed, or Councilman Dill did notice or tell me this week, that he saw some cement being poured, so that's awesome. So, grand total expenditures are at 84% if you include the capital construction compared to budget, so. And there was a transfer to the ambulance fund for the ambulance. If you remember, the ARPA NEU funds that we received, one of those, part of that went to the ambulance for those, so that's that transfer. On the next page, we can look at our enterprise funds. There's a glare on it, so that's why I'm not looking, at least from where I'm sitting. I don't know if it looks like there's a glare from when you're sitting. So the general fund revenue, if you look at just the operating, the revenue less the expenditures, and this is cash, there's no accruals in this, was a positive 1.2 million. So if you look at the water fund, their revenues were at 99.42%, really close to that 100%. Power and pump was at 72, metering was at 82, and distribution was at 71, so their expenditures were at 72.29%. So if you just look at operating in the water fund, they're positive 900,000. The sewer fund, their revenues were at 106%, which is really good, and their expenditures were at 78.02. So if you look at just their operating, and of course this is cash, no depreciation, no anything taken out of there, that's 362,000 to the positive. The electric fund was at 103%, which was really good. And their expenditures altogether there were 97.32%. So if you just look at their operating with no construction, it's 139,000 to the positive. The sanitation revenue was at 115.33%. Collection was at 93%. Disposal was at 85% for a total of, if you total them up for the whole department, it's at 90.41%. So if you look at their revenue before projects and equipment, it's at $380,895 to the positive. Looking at the airport, their revenue was at 90.85%, and their expenditures were at 103.29%. So they did go over budget slightly, and they do have a negative in operating, $156,401. Now, if you look at the golf, their revenue was at 90.85%, and their, 148.02% for revenue. That is this is the most they've showed for revenue ever, since I've been here anyway. So their revenue really did increase this year, which is a good sign. The golf expenditures were at 97.44%, so their operating was a negative $372,042.
Ms. Stricker, could I interrupt?
Yeah.
On the golf revenue, do you know, I know we raised rates slightly, and we added some more carts. Are those the main contributors to that revenue?
Licenses and carts were, actually every revenue category increased, was over budget. So he's been busy. So I think we made some good choices in buying those carts. That we are making more money out there as far as revenue goes, so. The swimming pool revenue was at 98.41%, which is fairly good considering our rough start. And our expenditures were right at 100%. So they have a negative 181.65 in operating. The ambulance revenue did awesome at 145% of budget, and their expenditures are at 88.37. So if you look at their revenue, it's at a positive 129, and that does include that transfer. The cemetery revenue was pretty low this year, and our expenditures there for 81,795 loss. So if you look at the next page, we can see the construction. And normally, these are losses. We don't usually get more money than the project is, or so. You can see there how busy we've been with projects. In the general fund, water fund, sewer fund. And I don't know, I can explain this on the next page. There is a positive on the sewer fund, and that was on their construction projects of $336,000. And that was timing of some revenue coming in late. So it hit this fiscal year, early in the year, but the expense was actually in last fiscal year. So that's why that's positive, and you can see that on the next page when we get there. But so the total non-operating for capital construction is 2.7 million for the year, and I think it's going to be even higher this year we're in now. So if you turn the page, we can look at our net revenues compared to previous years. And I know it looks, so if you look at the sewer fund, if you look at last year, do you see where there's a negative 678? That's what I was talking about. That came in the different fiscal year. The revenue came in a different fiscal year than the expense. So the expense had to be backdated because it was actually happened in fiscal year 24, but the revenue actually came in fiscal year 25. So you can see how the negative and positive kind of wash themselves out in the sewer fund. And I believe that that will be the case for the water fund as well, for some of it anyway. I think it's still negative because we did have the well 16 project where we were taken out of reserve to make that project work. If you remember, in August, we did take out, or we approved $300,000 out of reserve to get that project awarded. So I'm sure next year when you look at this, you're going to see it the opposite direction. So you can see the electric funds at a negative 126. I think the majority of that was for their new building, because if you look at their operating, they're positive, but their new building and some of their other construction made them go negative this year. The sanitation fund was at $328,000, which we did raise the fees there. And you can see the difference there. The airport ended up being at a negative 171, and the golf, with their projects added, was at a negative 442,000. The swimming pool's at a negative 464, and that's because of the big construction project at the swimming pool. The ambulance was a positive 127, and the cemetery is a negative 108. So we ended up with a total net revenue. So this is cash coming in and cash going out of $376,104.24. Last year it was a negative 736. So we are spending down our reserves a little bit, but I think we're still in pretty good shape. So let's go on to our sales tax revenue, and I just have a quick little chart here for you. it does look like the sales tax is leveling out. It's basically about $20,000 less than last year received. So it looks to me like it's leveling out. It seems to be staying strong so far this year. So hopefully it'll just keep going the way it is so we can count on that money. That's our biggest source of general fund revenue. So the next page will go over our long-term debt. Oh, yeah, and I don't have this on here, so we'll just have to go off of our sheet. So the total long-term debt for this year, at the end of the fiscal year, was at 2.7 million. And I separated it out by department. So the water fund had 366,000, the sewer fund has 914, the electric fund has 485, the sanitation fund has 920,000, and other funds, total principal of $47,107. Now, this doesn't include the loans that are in progress right now with East D Street, the wastewater treatment plant, and we're applying for 2 new loans through SRF loans through SLIB, probably at the next meeting or the October meeting. So this is just the closed loans that we have outstanding at this time. I'd be glad to answer any questions on the financial report.
I have a question back on the net operating revenue for the water fund. Did we just not incur as many expenses, or did we delay some of those? I'm curious why we have such a large net revenue.
The majority of that is the Well 16 project.
And timing?
And timing,
Okay.
yeah. When the project is finished, I will be transferring some of those ARPA funds into that fund. That's about $690,000 we had targeted for that. So that will make up a big difference. But we will have to look at water rates. If we look at these new loans that we're going to having to be serviced once these projects are done, in Waterworth, it looks like there is going to be a need for an increase. So we'll be going over that hopefully in October with you guys.
And for the public listening, it might be worth mentioning, since we're talking about water, that Waterworks is the program that looks
yes.
at all funds, not just the water fund.
Yeah, it's a great tool that we've been using where we can project the rates needed to cover our revenue and expenses into the future for 20 years, and it's a really neat tool. And it's been working pretty well so far.
Lynette, on the long-term debt with the State Land and Investment Board, those loans in their current listing there don't reveal any principal forgiveness in that, do they?
These are pretty old ones, from 2007 and 2008. So no, at that time, we did not have principal forgiveness. We did, though, earlier this year, reduce those from 2.5% to 1.5%. So the interest rate did lower this year on those, which is going to save us some money. Most of those are going to be paid off soon, 2027. So when those come off, then the new ones will start coming on. The weighted average rate for our loans are 3.32%, which is pretty good in this interest rate environment.
Annette, while we're waiting to see if there are any pending questions for you, I want to thank you for putting this together in the way that you
Certainly.
did and being able to explain it as well as you're able to do to us laymen.
You're
So,
welcome.
thank you for that.
If you'd like to see it in a different format or something else, I'd be glad to do that too. So if you have suggestions, let me know.
Mr. Mayor, do we need a motion to approve the financial report?
Yeah, motion to accept the
Motion to
financial
accept, yeah. Okay.
report. I would entertain a motion. If there are no further questions for Mrs. Strecker, I would entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
All right, item number 2 on the financial report, I have a motion from Councilman Deal to accept the financial report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion? Seeing none, item number 2, all those in favor of accepting the financial report set forth in item 2 for fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that financial report is approved. Thank you, Mrs. Strecker. Next item on the agenda is item number 3, approval of the bills from August 20th of 2025 through September 2nd of 2025. And again, I would call on Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Attached to your agenda were a list of bills. And then I handed out an additional set tonight for your consideration. I would stand for any questions.
Mrs. Strecker, on page 3 on the first report, the cyber insurance, I see it's just listed as mayor. Does that include the mayor and council?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to take a moment, Mr. Mayor, if I could, on that same page, page 3. And I'll first set, I'll probably preempt the Buildings and Grounds Superintendent a little bit here, but we paid a vendor to spray the dog park for weeds, and I just want to help the public understand that there's been some complaints about weeds in that park. and that it takes some time for those weeds to die and go away. But I want the public to know that we're doing something about it. But patience is needed on that park for those weeds to be eradicated.
Councilman Victor, that actually is a bill from earlier in the year, because we're on a program with Silver Lawn Care to spray that. Something got missed in an email somewhere, and that's why that bill's late. But Matt Hickman with the Parks Department and Cemetery, he sprayed it the other day for the sand version. That sand over there is killing us.
So I look like I have a little egg on my face because that bill came earlier, or was for earlier, but nevertheless, whoever's spraying it, we're at least getting it sprayed. And so I hope people continue to use the park, but it just takes some time for those weeds to be eradicated.
No, you elicited a response from Mr. Estes. So the weeds are being sprayed at the dog park. I meant no disrespect. No. We're on a program to spray that. It just takes so much to catch up with everything. And everybody knows weeds this year are horrible. I was in there today and they are all dying.
Wasn't that dog park supposed to be taken care of by some other group?
Correct.
But they haven't been doing it, have they?
We gave it to the city about 2.5 years ago.
Well, let's give it back to them. That's all it takes. Give the cemetery to the county and the airport to the county and just give it back to them.
Sounds like a work session to me.
You know, Mr. Mayor, if there are no more questions about the bills, I'd make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
All right, we are on item number 3, and I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the bills as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Warren. Any further discussion on item 3? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Item 3, all those in favor of approval of the bills as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the bills in item 3 are approved. Item number 4 on the agenda, public comment, and we have Fire Chief Luis Correa here for his report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So yeah, we've been pretty busy here at the fire, or there at the fire station. We had a total of 9 calls. 3 of them were grass fires. 4 were fire alarm calls, and 2 of them were motor vehicle accidents. As far as calls go, that's what we had. We got some training opportunities and other community engagement things coming up. The first of which is our training with the Department of Corrections at the prison. We'll do like a mock fire call there that'll allow them to practice what they would do in an emergency like that, and we get to get some real world time on the facility to help us with any calls that we might have out there. We'll also be helping out with some 4th graders in a project that they got with protecting an egg. They make different devices to see if they can keep from cracking an egg from various heights. I believe they start out with the playground equipment there at Trail Elementary, and those that protect their egg well enough, we get to take the tower out and help them out, and we'll drop it, I think, from about 30 feet up. And we did it last year, and it was fun. It was fun for the kids. It was fun for the fire department. So we look forward to doing that again. And then on the 6th of this month, we'll be participating in the Safe Kid Day out at the fairgrounds at the Ag Hall and Frontier Shelter. That's from 10 a.m. to 2. We're one of many people that will be out there.
Is that Saturday?
Yes, it is.
So Saturday the 6th at the where?
It's, I think they'll have people in the Ag Hall and the Frontier Shelter out at the fairgrounds.
Okay, from what time?
From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay,
is what
so
they have.
that's safety day for kids out there at the fairgrounds.
Yep. I'd invite everybody to come out there, and like I said, it'll be us and a lot more people in the community that will have various booths and have different things to talk about. And the last one we have coming up is a partnership with the police department for our blood drive. That is, I believe it's a Friday, September 12th at the fire station, and you can sign up online, or I believe you can do, they allow walk-ins to donate.
What hours are those on the 12th?
That'll be from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And you just go in and say who you're donating for, whether it's Team Fire or Team Police Department. And there's a trophy on the line for those who get the most donations.
I see Police Chief Matt Johnson perked up when you said there was something on the line.
Yeah. Yep.
They got us beat on numbers. We'll take all the help we can get.
So yeah, I encourage everybody that can to show up and donate to a good cause. They're always in need of blood for donations, and it's a worthy cause.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, safety's a big topic tonight on my mayor's informational items. And I know in the community, there's a lot of talk about safety and what the fire department is doing to promote safety education. It's not just fun and egg dropping. It's safety education that goes along with that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
definitely.
a lot mixed with the fun is safety education.
Right, with the price of eggs, you can never be too safe.
All right. Gentlemen, any questions for the fire chief? All right, Luis, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we are still in public comment time, and I see not many members of the public out there, but I would look to council if they have a comment that they would like to share.
I'd like to comment on the Headworks facility. At least it's nice to see something above ground.
Yes, you do. The walls are poured. The forms will stay on there. They're debating whether it'll be the full 28-day cure time, or some fraction thereof. In the meantime, they'll start working on the inside to build the channels that kind of routes the influent through the facility, and that'll be the next major thing that'll have to be accomplished.
And then I noticed Mr. Troxel already left, but I was going to ask him if they ever got well 16 running.
They did do the exchange of the membranes for the RO unit. They were supposed to test that, I believe, last week, and I don't think we've gotten the results of the nitrate tests back from the testing agency. Make sure that the RO unit's actually performing the way we expect it to perform.
The membranes have been installed and the test has been taken.
Has the lagoon cleaning been completed? Is it still ongoing?
I know they were almost, it's probably really, really close. I think Tom was telling me last week they were 50% complete.
I know Tom had sent us on the council some pictures of that,
Yeah.
the wipes, I think he refers to the majority of it, those flushable wipes that are not,
Push.
well, they flush, but they don't, just,
Not
Don't
degradable.
dissolve.
Biodegradable, but I think the biodegradable is like 20, 25 years.
my question is
Kind of like baloney.
when they clean that out, do we weigh that by chance? To see how much we're actually having to deal with?
I don't think we've ever weighed it. I don't think anybody really has for that.
But it is substantial, right?
Substantial,
So-
yes, yeah.
So we would ask the folks, the flushable wipes flush, but they don't disintegrate, and they cause a big problem on the receiving end.
Well, the good news is this pretreatment facility will be taking those out of the stream, the waste stream, before it gets into the aeration ponds. So all those will be filtered out before they get there. So hopefully, well, we shouldn't have to do this. As
As
often.
frequently. Otherwise, it's a substantial cleaning expense,
Yes,
frequent.
it's been about every 5 years. Instead, it should go with the headworks, probably close to 15.
Then we had to repair one of them a few years back, didn't we? The walls caving in on one of them.
Yeah,
I don't remember which one, but
they've actually done
That was
all,
a finishing pond, I think.
well, yeah, the finishing pond was done quite a few years ago.
yeah.
But the aeration ponds have been fairly regular, fairly recent.
All right, appreciate that, Mr. Harkins. Any other questions or comments by council? Seeing none, we have completed our agenda this evening, gentlemen. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.